Okay guys, we're back again with another video, and this video is very disturbing because we have an 8-year-old boy who committed suicide, and I don't even know.
Everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We told you first in a push alert tonight, the prosecutor is joining the investigation into Gabriel Taya's death.
It was video taken 2 days before he killed himself that Joe Dieters tells me prompted him to act. 9 on Your Side reporter Evan Millward is live outside Carson Elementary with a heartbreaking new statement from his mom. Evan?
And Tanya, consider this. Cornelia Reynolds goes into Mother's Day weekend without her only son after he hanged himself in what his family has said is bullying caught on camera. In just the last couple of hours, his mother has issued a plea to other parents. Tell your kids it is okay for them to reach out for help. In a statement late Friday, Cornelia Reynolds writes of her 8-year-old son in part, quote, "Gabriel was a shining light to everyone who knew and loved him." She goes on, quoting, "His life was not only stolen from him, but from those of us who expected to watch him grow up and enjoy life. I feel he was cheated. I feel robbed." Taya hanged himself 2 days after his family says he was violently bullied at Cincinnati's Carson Elementary. Friday, the school district released this video showing the incident. You can see Taya pulled to the ground in a bathroom, his legs visible in the doorway. 18 students walk by his motionless body. It's a little more than 4.5 minutes before an adult arrives. This video will be crucial in the investigation. 9 on Your Side has confirmed Cincinnati Police Homicide and Hamilton County Prosecutor Joe Dieters' office are now looking into the case. A small group of parents protested outside the school Friday.
We all need to show our support as parents.
A plea Taya's mother makes late Friday, quoting, "I will fight every day, every second of every minute. I am my son's voice, and it will be heard. As Gabe's mother, it is my obligation to make sure that this will never happen again. No, this will not go away." Just part of a long statement, emotional statement there tonight. You can read the full statement from Taya's mother right now on WCPO.com. As for Cincinnati Public Schools, we reported earlier today, it told the state of Ohio there were 0 bullying incidents here at Carson in the 6 months before Taya's suicide. It says in a statement, it is heartbroken by his loss. We're live in West Price Hill tonight. I'm Evan Millward, 9 on Your Side.
Okay guys, we're back again with another video, and this time we're going to be talking about suicide, but now we're going to be focusing on this 8-year-old boy because it is his story, but we will be putting other stories in the mix while we're talking. So when we are talking about maybe a different case, whether it's a child or an adult, we will too say that. But right now this is about this boy, this small 8-year-old who committed suicide after he got beat up. And again, I'm here with Jen and Juice, my favorite, and Neek is my sister. So we're gonna go and kick this thing off like we always do. This time we're gonna start off with Neek, and I'm gonna ask you a question. How did you feel by looking at the video?
I mean, it was a heartbreaking video. To see a baby just lying there, because he is a baby, 8 years old, and just like lying there, and children are walking past, back and forth, and I don't even remember how many minutes they said it was, but it was just too long. It wasn't the actual suicide video, but I guess he had just got jumped, and he was just like laying there, which he was, a small kid, looks like for his age or whatever. And just to see him just like, laying there, maybe he was embarrassed or, I don't know. But, it was just heartbreaking to see that, and to see children not reaching out for help sooner, or not seeing if there was something they can do, like, hey, are you okay? I think that also adds to, maybe one of the reasons why he felt like, okay, I needed to end it. You know what I mean? Like, okay, nobody cares anyway.
Yeah. And Jen, I'm going to ask you this, and then I'm going to come back and ask you something. Now, do you think, I know back in the day when I was going to school, for me, I was always a shy child, but it always seemed like the boys were so adventurous. Like, they are running and playing, and, you know, whatever happened, like, it does not faze them. If they fight, something happened, it really don't affect them how it used to affect the little girls. So in this case, Jen, how do you feel like, okay, is it an overall thing now, or, you know, it's not like a little boy thing versus girl thing? How did this come about in this type of a way that he was so embarrassed by this?
I think right now for bullying is magnified 10 times, 100 times because of social media. The kids get bullied in school. I think back then, bullying was something that was isolated. It could have been, you know, you had your neighborhood bully, or you had this group that you had to worry about and things like that.
Yeah.
But now it's something where you have, you know, your whole class, or, you know, the school, everyone knows about it because of social media. You're at school and you get bullied, and you go home and that same bullying follows you, you know, online. So that's why I think the pressure or the consequence of bullying is felt harder for these kids now, because they can't escape it. You can't go home and be left alone by it, because, you know, texts are going around circulating about it, or people are laughing at you or making fun of you on social media, whatever it is. And, you know, with him specifically lying on the ground, you know, I didn't see anything, but let's say, for instance, you know, the kids had their phone out and were recording it. You know, that's something that I see all the time, not in this case specifically, but, you know, in other cases where kids are being bullied and other kids take their phone out and they are recording it. So now that becomes another weapon that is used against that child that's being bullied. And like Neek said, a lot of times the kids that are around don't do anything to help.
Yeah.
Or if they do, it's very rare. And I think it's just that mentality that kids that age have, where it's just that this group mentality. No one are really individuals where they think for themselves, or they can stand up really to those bullies, because, hey, they don't want to be the next victims. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, they don't.
So I think everything right now is just so much more intense, so much more crucial, so much more, you know, devastating, the results of it, because it's magnified so much.
Yeah, and another thing I wanted to add to, because I felt like it was very disturbing that 18 kids just walked past and nobody just said, I mean, like you just said, we know the kids could be cruel, and certain times they take out the phone. Everybody's taking out a phone instead of asking, are you okay, or to break it up and help. Even I've seen so many videos where you'll see the people who's holding the phone. Oh, no, I have to record this and put it on World Star. It got to go viral. It got to do something, but they're not helping. And it just makes you feel like, okay, 18 whole people just walk past. What is this little boy going through on a day-to-day base that will have him mentally like, okay, you know what? I'm not going back to this school. Now, do you think, because they did say, the mom said, you guys, you know, kids should come and tell their parents. Do you think by him being a boy that maybe he didn't say anything to his parents because they're kind of...
I think it's more of, I don't think if it's even a boy or a girl thing, honestly, when it's children that young, 8 years old, and just, I think children in general, I think, you know, even if we could think back to when we were young, I mean, whether it was the teachers, or, you know, whether it's whoever it is, you just always feel like, okay, well, I have to go back, so I don't really want you to come and say anything about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you always feel like, okay, you're just going to make it worse. So you kind of deal with it on your own, not realizing that there's help that can, you know what I mean? Whether it's the child being suspended, or whether if it gets too bad and it continues, then, you know, there's other schools within the same vicinity of where you live, 9 times out of 10, where you can be transferred to another school. Yeah. So it's like, you know, your parents are not going to make you suffer through anything. But I think it's more or less like as children, not so much as a boy, girl, or anything like that. But I think it's more or less like, okay, we think we know everything already, and we don't feel like our parents understands, certain things that we might be going through because they're so older and they've never been a child before.
Yeah.
So I think it's more of that more so than it is being a girl or being a boy, Yeah. Because not only that, was another little girl. She was like 9 or 10. She committed suicide because I think this was before whatever this app was. They posted her getting jumped or beat up or whatever it was, and she committed suicide. I don't remember the name of the app, so I won't say the app name, but I remember it a few years ago before these other little apps got as big as it got. One of the kids posted it, that her video, and they were making fun of her, and she committed suicide as well. So I think it's more or less just
kids in
general, a general thing. Yeah.
Now, Jen, I'm gonna ask you this: when you were going to school, did you feel safe at school? Like, if something goes on, do you feel like it was enough security, or your teacher was paying attention? Because I know when I was in school, it honestly seemed like, I don't know what the heck one of my teachers was, but it just seemed like they wasn't there when things happened. Mm-hmm. And when it did finally happen, it seemed like somebody forever to get there. Mm-hmm. But do you think, okay, him being 8, elementary school, and you comparing it to when you were this age, did you see a lot of adults? Were your teachers paying attention? Because it's like 18 to 20 kids are in a class or something. I know it's only one teacher, and I'm not putting things on teachers, but did you feel like the school was safe if something did happen and fights broke out?
I would say no, personally, just based off of my experience. I think that the majority of things did happen during, lunchtime or whatever it was. And a lot of the times the teachers were on break or doing whatever they were doing. And, that left us, basically, it was a free-for-all.
Yeah.
If anybody had any problems or whatever was going on, that was when those things were addressed. And even if it was in class, like you said, it's one teacher to, 20-something students, or she can't keep her eye on every single student to see what's going on all the time. So to answer your question, no, I don't think that there are enough eyes in terms of adults or, supervision to watch over all of the kids at school. So no.
But you feel this way I know middle and high school is a little different, but you do feel this way with elementary kids, that it should be more adults being okay. And so,
but honestly, for me, when I was in elementary school, from what I can remember, maybe it was just because of my school that I went to, but I mean, it wasn't until like middle and high school that you went anywhere without your teacher. You know what I mean? Like, it was, like Jen said, if you wanted to do anything, it was during cafeteria, or recess. But it wasn't like, you walked, to lunch with your teacher. Any special classes that you had, whether it was art, PE, whatever, your teacher walked you, came back and picked you back up. They take you to everywhere that you had to go. This school, it seemed like almost like a high school setting. It was just like kids passing by. There's no supervision. There's no teachers in the hall, like, oh, hey, slow down, no running, whatever. And it's kind of like, unless, and those kids was much older, unless it was one of those schools that goes from kindergarten to high school. I really don't know. But
because it was about, I didn't know if this was after or before school started. Like, that's a lot of kids in elementary school to be just bypassing you, just 18 whole people just did this, Okay, and so let me ask you guys this. Now, we are all victims of I'm going to say social media abuse. And what I mean by that is, that's where we go. That's everybody's go-to. We're in our phones and things. But now, for the kids, because we have to understand, kids' mindset from an adult is very different if something do go on. Just getting off the case for just a second, like when T.I. and Tiny came back out. Mm-hmm. How the daughter, and I think the son was very hurt and crying for seeing that. The show just came out and everybody was saying, okay, you know, their mom looked like Miss Piggy, and she was ugly. And yeah, I
think adults in general, like even something more specific, you know, with people like Tamar Braxton, people like Fantasia, and this goes for a lot of people that always say, oh, well, you know, you go to church and you do this and you do that. Not saying that this has anything to do with anything, but you know, that's always one of those things. And it's just kind of like, I think people get so much into their mind a lot of the times, and they don't go for help. They don't go to therapy. They don't reach out and speak to people because everything is super private. You don't have, you know, you definitely don't want your family to know what's going on. And that's the closest people, you know, I think it is to go to. And people don't feel comfortable to even go to close friends or family because you don't want nobody in your business like that. So people are suffering in silence and feel like the only way out is to kill themselves, is to end it, is to leave, you know, their children behind. They're not even thinking about their own children at this time. And you think about somebody as powerful as Fantasia, as somebody as powerful as Tamar, and they seem like very strong, you know, women, you know, as far as like, okay, nothing will bother me like that. And of course, I know people put fronts on, but I definitely think social media has a lot to do with, you know, the way people are handling, you know, their mental health. They go to social media and they're reading all of these comments about, you know, whatever it is going on and what people think about their life or how trash people might think that they are or whatever it is, you know?
Yeah. And now, Jen, let me ask you something. Do you think, as far as with kids, I know now YouTube is, you know, they have the kids YouTube, and now if you post a video, they do want to see it, and you put whether it's, you know, for kids or not, because they end up getting sued. Now, do you think it should be restrictions, not just like, okay, the parents restrict them, but all social media sites can have like maybe where kids can only from a certain age group be on social media from maybe 2 hours out the day or something, because this is where everybody go to get picked on and laughed at, and they feel, you know, bad as bad as it is if you go to school and you got like 3 people picking on you. Going, you know, on social media now, you're pretty much, it's like, darn it, everybody know about this. So how do you feel like it should be with kids?
To answer that question, I think right now, if I'm not mistaken, you have to be over 18 to be able to sign up for Facebook, Instagram. I think Twitter is the same way as well, but you know how easy it is just to put, you know, your birth year a couple years back from what it actually is to make you that age. So that, I think there needs to be something set up differently with social media where it isn't so easy for kids to lie about their age and just, you know, be on there. Also, I think that just lost my train of thoughts.
That's fine, because this is a very and now this is just it's very heartbreaking because he was 8 years old.
This is what I was about to say. The thing that we were talking, the thing that I was thinking about with social media too was the other day, these parents gifted their child a phone for Christmas, and he was so appreciative about it. He started crying and things like that. And a lot of people were commenting saying that, you know, is he too young? Why he was 8 years old? I think he was 8. Why is it that, you know, a child is being gifted a phone? You know, there needs to be more restrictions on what children are able to, you know, what they're able to have at their disposal, because, you know, on TV, you can set up parental guides and things like that, limitations, but really on the phone, you can't do that. So that's another thing that I was thinking about in terms of suicide prevention. Are these kids getting their phones too early? Because even with this 8-year-old child, and I know I'm going completely off topic of what you asked me, but I'm just talking. How was he able to know how to even hang himself at 8 years old?
And that's a good question, because honestly, and I know, like I said, if they say every 10 years, you're going to see, homes develop different. This is when you'll see a different roof and a different whatever, and new technology. It comes out every 5 to 10 years. It's the same thing with this. So, hold up. Wait. Jen, you go ahead because I just had a moment. So you go ahead. You just finish what you were saying.
Okay. For me, I think the phones are the biggest issue, because when I was growing up, I didn't get a phone until I was about, 14, 15, and even still then, you do see a lot of bullying, or I did see a lot of bullying online. But these kids are getting phones younger and younger. He didn't go to the library, I'm sure, and pick up a book and see how to hang yourself. This information is on the internet. This information is in their hands. They can Google these things. Same thing with sexual things. I know that's not the topic, but they can Google sex. Or,
anything.
They can Google anything.
And I wanted to say this now with my daughters. They have a phone, and one day I completely lost it because they was giving me the phone to show me something, and all of a sudden just an ad popped up, like one of those sexual things. I said, oh yeah, press. Even, I had put the parental thing on there, but that site steady popped up. They could not open it. But it was still something I was very pissed off about, because I'm like, okay, now just that word alone for something sexual, like, any dates tonight for sex or something like that. And kids are curious. Once something coming in, they want to see and know what it's about, So I'm like, okay, how could this just pop up? And I know on my phone and computer, you could be just minding your own business on the best stuff and just, looking at whatever, with church or anything, and something sexually just pops up on your screen, inviting you to come join their site.
Yeah. So that's something that really bothered me with, kids having such a powerful tool in their hand at such a young age, where you're not emotionally intelligent to be able to handle what's going on around you, and not go to the internet and see how you can end your life. You get what I'm saying? It's very, I guess, debilitating in a sense, where as parents, what do you do? Because I know we live in a world where you have to stay in communication with your kids. You're at work or wherever, and a lot of people don't have house phones anymore. So the kids now have phones where the parents get in contact with their kids. They can text their parents. And, I think a lot of parents feel more secure with their kids having the phones, but then there is also the bad side to it, where they have access to so much information.
Yeah.
Where we had to go to the library for everything.
And everything was very much so restricted. And the thing is like, as parents too, you can protect your child all you want. You get what I'm saying? And I'm talking about pre-COVID right now, whatever, the kids are home and stuff like that. But, sending the kids off to school and stuff like that, they have other parents that are much more lax than you are about certain things. A lot of children don't have, parental discretion on their phones. You got a lot of parents that don't care that a child might have a Facebook or have whatever it is as early as, 13, 14 years old or whatever it might be. And it's just kind of like, you could do all you can, to try to protect your child from certain things. But once they go back out there in the world, it's just kind of like, what conversations are you having with your child? I feel like everything comes from, home, like letting them know, like, look, this is not good. This is not good. If there's anything that you need to have a conversation with me about, have that open door policy. And I think it also comes from not yelling at your children for every single thing, having a conversation with your children more, instead of just everything having to be like, yelled at, because then they feel like, I can't come to you with this. How can I? You yell at everything, the smallest thing you yelling about. So how could something this big, I feel like I'm going to get in trouble for it. Yeah. So I think, that's kind of one of the big things. And also,
even if you don't, even if your parents don't yell at you, I feel like, sometimes you have a certain type of friend. I know I had a friend that loved to freaking fight, and I had a friend that loved to talk about sex at a certain age. And I was just like, well, what? Okay, I don't know nothing about this. And I'm in middle school, but they did. So sometimes if you do have a certain friend, you can be still talking about things that you're not supposed to be even discussing. Now, I'm going to say this, Jen, because we are going to come back to this and have like the little things at the bottom. And I'm going to also let Jen do, it'll be on here. I'm going to let her do, I guess it's not an intro, but she's going to go and talk about a couple of cases where she's seen the same thing happen and give you guys the hotline, the numbers to call, because there's different things, but we didn't want to just single certain things out. But this was about this child's story and how it ended, and I just, as you guys could see through the whole video, sometimes we was just stuck in words with it and very emotional. But Jen, I was going to ask you and then ask Neek, what can we do to start controlling this situation? Not preventing it, but controlling these suicidal things within little kids like this. We're not talking about certain people that maybe, you're an adult, you're going through something, you feel just broken. So this is what it leads to, because that's going to be on another video. But, for the kids at this moment, because they're getting bullied, what can we do to control this?
I think it does start at home, because these bullies are curated somewhere, and that's in the home. Yeah. So I feel like as parents, but then a lot of times too, you can't blame the parents, because the kids are one way at home and then they go to school and they're a completely different person. So you may not even know that your child is that bully until, something happens. But I do think that parents probably would have to do the best that they could at home to make sure that their children are being brought up with certain values, or are being brought up, to be that person to, step up and help someone else if they are going through bullying, and not be the one laughing or recording and things like that. And I do think there needs to be clear communication between the school and the homes, because it's like a complete disconnect, I think, and because your child spends the majority of their day at school, I think there needs to be more of a connection there.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Neek?
I think the way to control it is just pretty much like what Jen said, is to, first of all, make sure that your children are not out bullying anybody, teaching them to lend a helping hand. If they see anything, say something. And, get that snitch mentality. Oh, don't be no tattletale. Don't be this, don't be that. Because then it's just, you don't want to be involved in it at all. So you don't know what to tell about and what not to tell about, in certain instances. So I think changing that mindset and letting them know, like, look, you don't watch nobody, be hurt or be taken advantage of. Stand around and, not say nothing, don't do nothing.
Because even if you was the person trying to break it up, you still are helping,
and then also, I think, too, on the flip side of it, because you can't control, certain people are, they're raising themselves too, so it's kind of like they're angry and they going to school, and that's another conversation, and they're bullying. So I think also is to teach your children to have tough skin, because we got picked on. Yeah, I got picked on, and but I had tough skin. You get what I mean? So. And I didn't know anybody that was just so depressed that they going around and they trying to kill themselves, not on such a scale that it is now. Yeah. I think we kind of learned how to, like, okay, if you pick on me, I'm pick back on you. If you, things like that. So I think teaching your children to have tougher skin, to understand, okay, you're going to win some fights, you're going to lose some fights. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. That's just how it goes. That's just life. Period. But I think, just teaching your children those things, I think, would help to control it more.
Yeah, and I agree. And another thing, too, guys, we're not for violence, and nor will we ever promote violence at all. But I'm going to say this. I do have kids, nieces, and nephews, and no, zero tolerance should be allowed when something like this happens. So what I'm saying is, you know what, there's nothing wrong with protecting yourself. And we have and defend, yes. And we have to teach our kids, not just tell them. If you feel like what I was doing with my son, I started him to start boxing. My girls, I had them, just out there trying to do the same thing, because once these things go on, like with us, we had a rough brother, and our dad, knew different things like boxing and wrestling. So that's in us. So it really wouldn't, it did not matter if we went to school. If someone did say something or just wanted, because it was a lot of girls that wanted to start things with me just because I was quiet. Mm-hmm. And eventually, they see that was the wrong way to go. That wasn't the right turn. So, what I'm saying is too, like we said, we don't promote that at all. But you still have to tell your kids, because I feel like there's, once they see they got something in them, they give them the strength to fight off that bully. A lot of the stuff will stop. And teach your kids, there's nothing wrong with that. If you got the money to send them to a little class or something like that, karate, or if you know how to do it, and just teaching them different things, do it in that way. They could feel better about themselves if they was being bullied, to tell a bully, okay, you know what, stop, okay? I'm trying to do this. This is like the 8th time. Yeah. You keep doing it, And a lot of things also happen on those school buses. A bunch of stuff happened on the school buses, And I don't want, and I know the parents feel the same way. You do not want your child, nieces, nephews to ever go through anything, to be tortured, and they can't deal with it. So these are also something, it will help. But like I said, I'm going to let Jen and Juice, I'm going to have her to put a clip in on this video because she was looking up some things, and put those clips in. She's going to be talking. So we'll put all this stuff in on this video too. And certain things, depending on our feedback, we do the part 2s. And we just want to thank you guys again. Oh my God. The love that we've been receiving is amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes, and we do think and appreciate that we have a voice, and you guys have the ears to want to listen to what we have to say, and we're trying to give good messages out. We're trying to do that.
Yeah,
so
we're trying to be the positive people that's on, YouTube.
Yeah, be another one.
Yeah, another one. Yeah, there's a lot of people out there, but we wanted to add to that and raise awareness on all different type of topics. Some things to be, awareness. Some things to be just fun things to talk about. But even with the fun things, I think we still try to give good positive tips on, whatever it is.
Yes. So. Jen, yeah, so we're going to be out. Jen and Juice.
I think my final message is to make mental health a priority. These kids are kids, but they are human as well. The same things that you struggle with, they struggle with it. And I think that as parents, just take more time out to see where your kids are at mentally, know what's going on with them, and be there to help them the best you can.
Okay. I agree.
Yeah, I agree. The same thing, pretty much. Just make sure that you have an open door policy with your children where they feel comfortable to come and talk to you, even if they feel like the world is against them, the school is against them. They know they have a safe haven at home, and you're there to, you're their biggest cheerleader. So whatever is going on, you'll do whatever it takes to, whether it's move them to another school or just have that conversation where, they need therapy or if they need to see a doctor, whatever it is. Just, to have those conversations about, mental illness and making it a top priority these days, because it's one of the biggest, I feel like, killers, I think, in our communities, these days, especially with young children.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
And what about you, Sim?
Yeah, I did the same thing. I agree with what you're saying and all that good stuff. Because honestly, guys, if you hear me on this video, if you come back in my mind, it's kind of like I'm going back and forth because I'm dealing with two different emotions here with this and other things. So yeah, but we have to do that. We're going to close, and at the bottom, you're going to see Neek and Jen, their page, and Jen, she has an Instagram. And you guys, if you have anything that you want to discuss or you want us to pick a topic, please inbox us and we will talk about it or go further with certain things. And we're out.